One of the biggest reasons your guitars don't sit right in the mix has nothing to do with your tone or EQ. It's your compression. Or more accurately, the compression you're not using. I'm going to show you 4 compression techniques I use on almost every metal mix to get the guitars locked in, including one that sidechains the guitar bus to the snare so they literally get out of the way every time the snare hits. Let's get into it. Say you've spent hours dialing in your guitars, you feel you've got the chug sounding heavy, the leads cutting through, the quad track section sounding massive, but you play the full mix back and something's wrong. The snare is buried under the wall of guitars. The chugs are flubbing out the low end. When the quad layers kick in, the whole balance shifts, and your lead guitar is there 1 second and gone the next. 4 different problems, and compression, used the right way, fixes every single one of them. Not volume, not EQ, the right compression technique for the right problem. I've mixed hundreds of metal songs, and these are the 4 moves I reach for on almost every session. Let me show you exactly what they do and how to set them up. Let's start with one I don't feel enough people teach, because this is the single most impactful thing you can do, and that's sidechaining the guitar bus to the snare using FabFilter Pro MB. Here's what this does. Every time the snare hits, the guitar ducks away just a few dB, but only around the fundamental frequency of the snare. Not the whole guitar signal, just the frequency range where the snare lives. So the guitars get out of the way for a split second, the snare punches through, and then the guitars come right back. It's completely transparent. So here's how I have it all set up. I've got Pro MB on the guitar bus, and I have the sidechain input set to the snare. Then what you want to do is you want to find the snare's fundamental frequency, which is usually somewhere around 200 to 250 hertz, depending on the drum and the tuning. This one happens to be right at 193 hertz. And you create a band targeting that range on the guitars. And the goal is to get about 2 to 3 dB of reduction. We have it set for a fast attack, a fairly fast release, and that's it. So let me show you this in action. With the side compression on, the snare has much more body and punch. Plus, an added benefit is having the guitars duck away whenever the snare hits. It creates a little more headroom for your mix bus compressor. Now here's a different problem. Your chugs are flubbing. The low end of the rhythm guitars is pumping and mushy every time a palm muted chug hits. This is especially bad on down-tuned stuff like drop A, drop G. Whatever you're doing, the low end just explodes. I use the Black Salt Audio low control for this, and it's a lifesaver. This is essentially a multi-band compressor that only targets the low frequencies of the guitars. So when that chug hits and the low end spikes, this thing catches it and tames it before it turns your mix into a blurry rumble. Let me show you how I have this set up. I'm using the Black Salt Audio low control on the individual rhythm guitar tracks. Now I set the threshold so it's only catching the peaks of the chugs and not compressing any of the sustain. And I'm only looking to do about 2 to 4 dB of gain reduction only on the chugs. Let me show you the difference this makes. The key here is subtlety. You're not squashing the low end. You're just preventing the worst offenders from destroying your mix. If you can hear the compressor working, you've gone too far. Okay, so now you've got your snare punching through and the chugs under control. But there's another problem that shows up in a lot of metal songs. Sections where the arrangement gets denser. Maybe you've got double-tracked rhythms for the verse, and then the chorus hits and it's quad-tracked. 4 guitars hitting at once. And even though each individual track sounded great, together they jump up in volume 2 to 3 dB. And the mix gets louder, the balance shifts, and everything gets messy. I like to use the compressor on the Waves SSL channel strip for this. It's the G-Series comp circuit built right into the channel strip. And I just put it on the rhythm guitar bus. So how I have this set up, I'm using the SSL channel strip on the rhythm guitar bus. I'm doing a slow attack so the transient still hits, and a fairly fast release to let it breathe with the tempo. The ratio I have set at 4:1, and I set the threshold so it's only grabbing about 3 dB of compression and only when the quad layers come in. During the double track sections, the compressor is barely doing anything, but when those quads hit and the levels jump, the compressor catches that extra 3 dB and keeps everything locked in place. It's like an automatic fader ride. Let me show you what I mean. So last one is lead guitars. This is a different beast from the rhythm guitars because leads are all over the place dynamically. You've got sustained notes, you've got fast runs, bends, tap licks. The volume is constantly shifting. And in a dense metal mix, if the lead isn't consistent, it's going to disappear in some spots and poke out in others. I use a CLA-3A for this. It's an optical compressor, which means it's very smooth and has a musical response. It doesn't have the aggressive grab of a VCA compressor. It sort of gently rides the level, which is exactly what you want on a lead guitar. So for this setup, I'm using the CLA-3A on the lead guitar track, not the bus, just the individual lead guitar track. And the peak reduction is set so I'm getting about 5 dB of gain reduction on the loudest notes. Then I have the pickup gain set to 5 to compensate for the gain reduction we're doing. And that's really it. The CLA-3A does most of the work for you because the release is program dependent. This isn't about making the lead guitar sound compressed, it's about making it consistent. So when that solo comes in, every note is right where it needs to be, not jumping out and not getting lost. Let's check it out. So let's recap. 4 techniques, 4 different problems. 1 guitar sound that actually sits right in the mix. 1 is sidechaining the snare to the guitar bus. The snare punches through without turning up the fader. Second is the Black Salt Audio low control on chugs. The low end stays tight instead of flubbing. Number 3 is the SSL channel strip compressor on the rhythm bus. Quad track sections don't jump in volume. And fourth is the CLA-3A on leads. Every note is consistent and present. None of these techniques are complicated. They're just the right tool for the right problem. If this video helped you out, please hit that like button, subscribe for more content just like this, and let me know in the comments what your go-to compressor is on metal guitars. I'm genuinely curious. Now, if you want to level up your home recordings before you even get to the mix, download my free guides for recording drums, guitar, bass, and vocals by clicking the resources link in the description. If you've got a track that needs a professional mix where all this is already dialed in, hit the link in the description. I'd love to hear what you're working on. And if you want to see all this come together in a real mix, I've got a full video where I take a raw guitar DI all the way through reamping to completely finished heavy guitars inside an actual song. Every plugin, every step, the exact process I use on every record I mix. I'll link that right here. Now go make your guitar sound massive.